So thank you so much for joining me. My name's Jessica Rose, and I work on the Common Voice team. I am very, very annoying about at least 4 things. And one of them is I'm really, really excited about human languages and the web. So when I sat down and said, I'd really like to submit to speak, immediately I thought I'd like to give a 45-minute talk about Common Voice. And then I thought, it's not especially helpful for people. So I thought I'd go ahead and pull that back slightly and talk a little bit more broadly about where our data comes from when we talk about AI models and AI outputs. Given that we're at a FOSDEM audience, I'm reasonably sure that folks have a general vibe about what's going on with AI. That you have a set of data, models are applied to it, and that some kind of machine-generated output comes out of that. The focus of this talk is going to be about where data sets are sourced. We're not going to be talking a lot about models, and I do fear that the older I get, the more my thinking and the more my speaking is about the philosophy that we bring to our work. It is a fantastic opportunity for those of you who are watching remotely, if you're not super excited about consent and data models, to escape. For those of you who are here in the room, you can pointedly look at your watch and escape, and you're safe. AI is increasingly in the news, and you may have noticed that it's not a bubble this time. It's definitely not hype, that every single headline about AI is grounded and focused and deadly serious. But that a lot of the headlines we're seeing are both the people saying, the tool makers behind AI saying, AI is absolutely going to save us, with their other hand saying, AI, which I'm making, which I'm selling, which I'd like some funding for, could also kill us all. Assumingly, kidding, Sam Altman, the head of OpenAI, said, AI will most probably lead to the end of the world, but in the meantime, there'll be great companies. Very relaxing. Elon Musk generating a robust amount of AI hype. I liked this quote best because it is equally true of bears. There's some chance above zero that AI will kill us. Very relaxing coming from someone working on AI who'd presumably like some more money for AI tooling. But both of the quotes before, both of these gentlemen, are also signatories to the AI safety statement on AI risk, saying, mitigating the risk of extinction from AI should be a global priority alongside other societal scale risks such as pandemics and nuclear war. How relaxing, how calming. One thing that I genuinely enjoy about being me is I'm not as smart and not as confident as these people who would both like to sell us a future where AI fixes everything, and a future where AI kills us all. I'm very, very happy to scale down my concerns about AI, and this is very much not the company take, this is my own personal take, which is that both the incredibly positive AI is our savior and the very scary AI, like bears, could eliminate us all, this kind of hype distracts from something that's very, very real, which is the things that are wrong with AI today and the things that are likely to become more calcified with time. And one of my largest concerns around these personally is that AI from tool makers and AI from individual projects are taking the sort of commons of what people have created and turning them into individual company sort of generators for money. That you're living in a future, we're all living in a future, where sometimes things don't load. That's fine, and everything's going to be fine. We're living in a future where these large AI models come from data. If anybody's interested, this was a screenshot about where ChatGPT's data comes from. And I'm going to paraphrase this badly, please don't sue me. If I recall correctly, they were very, very proud. A lot of the AI projects little hand wave. You say, oh, don't worry about it. We find our data. The Facebook AI Llama model said, our pre-training data is collected generally in accordance with open sourcing practices. It's a very long sentence. And the ChatGPT said, hey, we find this data publicly on the internet. This is all publicly available data. And that's fantastic. We all know that if we find an image online, we can reuse this on our websites no matter what. If you accidentally pick the wrong cartoon mouse off the internet and reuse that, it won't ruin your life. The idea that AI models can scrape the internet at large, build data sets of our own work, and give us a future where we've duplicated slides is very, very relaxing. Fantastic. Everything's fine. OpenAI's large language models, including ChatGPT, cool, are developed using 3 primary sources. And I love this. Information that is publicly available on the internet. Have any of you put writing or art? Y'all, actually, who has not put your stuff on the internet? Amazing. Who is super happy about ChatGPT taking your stuff? Those 2 of you. It's like, yeah, the future. Amazing. Information that we license from third parties. I'm a lot chiller about this. And I think this one's really exciting. Or stuff that people gave us. How chill. How cool. You can just find stuff online or people. And I like the human traders. This is especially menacing. And the really exciting, the really terrifying part of this, I think, for me, is if you write for a living, if you make art for a living, if you perform for a living, we're slowly seeing a future where you're being asked to compete with models trained against your past work. That when we're looking at an environment where scarcity of work comes together, it's including the opportunity to compete against your past selves. The question of whether or not scraping is theft is something I will leave to people who are, again, much more opinionated than I am. This picture of someone stealing has nothing to do with anything. But what are our options? If we want to make AI now, what can we do that's not taking publicly available information? What can we do that's not having our human traders give us what they want? Fabulous question, non-rhetorical, and I appreciate it. I am naturally biased, but I do work with the Common Voice team. And this is a open source, crowdsourced, multilingual voice speech data set. We've taken, and this is a very, very 2001 way to say it, the most YOLO approach to licensing possible. I'm very old. And what we've done is we've said that there are more than 7,000 languages in the world. Right now, most voice assistants are very, very chill about 20 languages. If any of you have used common voice assistants, which are going to be some of the more common speech AIs you're likely to encounter, you absolutely know that these work 100% of the time, 100% perfectly, as long as you sound exactly like I do, and as long as you speak English with a very, very standard cadence. For those of you who don't, very chill, good luck with your other 19 languages at the current time. What we've got is this is a lie, we've got 118 languages right now, and people donate their voices. They read clips online, and we have about 28,000 recorded hours. One of my favorite questions, and you can yell, nobody on the thing will hear you, can you guess what language we have the most of? Like most clips, most data? People, they all said the correct answer immediately, which is Catalan. But they're watching remotely. They get what they get. So we're really, really excited about this. We've asked people, can you donate your voice to us? We'd be so excited. And they do. And we release this under a CC0 license. For those not familiar with the CC0 license, this is the most have a good day license you can do it. We ask that you don't identify individual voices from the data set because that's incredibly creepy and weird and y'all wouldn't. But you can do whatever you want with it. It's free, you can build stuff with it now. We've had people do academic research, we've had people make weird art. I love all of it, and the stuff I don't love, try not to think too much about. There's a ton of stuff available, but this is, you can tell, I'd go on forever. This is not the only way to do things. So our first model, ask people for their data and give it out as unlimited as possible. I asked 4 different people tightly connected to the Wikimedia Foundation for help with this. I'm still going to get this wrong. Y'all can email me when I'm wrong. The Wikimedia Foundation has an incredible data set they've built, which was not necessarily aiming to be used in AI data, but is being picked up by many data sets with being publicly available on the internet. They have users generate original text data, which is being released at a Commons by Attribution license, where at the same time they've got Wikimedia Commons data, video, audio, photographs being ingested under a network of different licenses. They've got tight internal regulations about what kinds of license data they can take in, and the data that they give back continues to exist under this license. It's CC by attribution and GFDL for their contributor generated text and work for Wikipedia. And they do an incredibly complex, one of the experts I talked to said, our licensing system is incredibly simple, and the other 3 said, no. But they're governed internally by a network of internal policy, guidance, legal guidance, and volunteer support and community debate that keeps their licensing in check. So the 2 things we've done so far are ask people for their stuff and give it to anybody, or ask people for their stuff under a licensing network and give it back out under that licensing network. Data trusts get complicated quickly. This is saying we don't want to give out our data under set guidelines that are inflexible. We want to have, ideally, humans, but we want to go ahead and, in the current inception, take individually contributed data and have a board of directors or have a board of guidance give access to this. Some of this can be under specific open source guidelines. Some of this can be for profit, saying, hey, we only give this out under these contexts. And unfortunately, right now, the only data trusts I've seen who are operating in large data sets in meaningful ways tend to be operating in a individual contributor data comes in, and that's handled as a large block. One thing that I see again and again that I'm always excited for, that I'm always rooting for, is every 3 or 4 years there's a startup promising that they're going to bring individual choice around data sales and data access to individuals through data trusts. There was one 2 years ago, there was one 5 years ago, there will be one 6 months from now. I'm really, really excited to see if this is the future, but haven't seen this launch yet. And while I'm very, very excited, both professionally and personally, about open source access for data and open source data sets, one option for AI models and AI companies for getting your data is literally just to pay for it. Right now, people's work is being scraped at large from the web, and we live in a reasonably carefully constructed capitalist system. We could, people working on AI, pay people instead of just finding it publicly available on the web. So far, and this is not the exhaustive list of where we could get consensually sourced data, we're going to see a very, very easy, lazy similarity between all of these. We can ask for contributions and pass that data back out freely. We can ask for and offer contributions under a range of existing licenses. We can create data trusts for controlling. We can ask to buy their data. But really, all of these futures involve asking for consent for people's data being ingested. This doesn't really look like the direction we're heading in right now, though. We'd need a couple different things for this to work. For somebody looking to start a project around open source data or even closed source data that's based around consent, looking at governance models and internal structures that build the external policy, build the consent pipeline for asking for and disseminating data, and policing that to make sure things go okay. There was recently a data trust in the United Kingdom that handles health data, where they had promised again and again, this is only going to be for science. This will only ever be for science. Can we have your health data? We will only ever use this for science. Earlier last year, turned out that science did actually include insurance companies in a very relaxing and trusting way. Looking at how do we set up our internal policies for data projects that increase trust? Creating these external facing structures as well. How are we going to do this? Are we going to ask for data and give it under CC0? Will we have an exhausting and delightful legal framework of licenses? Or are we going to build a board? Regulation and oversight is an incredibly spiky question when we look at where we're going with AI in the futures. A lot of the larger AI toolmakers right now have said, do you know what? We absolutely welcome regulation, but you can't have a subject to copyright. That would really hold us back. We welcome regulation, but not any of the regulatory pathways that would hurt our businesses. We welcome but none of that regulation. Unfortunately, if we're hoping for a future where our data is only sourced consensually, we would need some kind of framework where folks seeking consent in our data aren't in turn having their stuff scraped by folks not interested in consent. Community enforcement as well. I was so excited to come to speak to FOSDEM about this today because I'd really, really love to leave the folks who are going to be working on AI tooling, the folks who are interested in AI tooling, and the folks who are going to be using AI tooling to be asking ourselves as we pick it up, oh, this is so fun. Oh, this does this. Oh, where does the data for this come from? So that we can start to make really, really principled choices, or I can't tell you how to guide your ethical futures, well-considered, somewhat principled choices that meet our needs. Thinking about what we will and won't work on, what we will and won't use, and what we will and won't pay for is something I'd really like to leave everyone with. It's very, very corny, but if we believe that an AI future where our stuff just gets ingested and we can compete against it, our own past selves, if we're lucky, isn't a very hopeful future. If we're going to try to do anything that's not lie down and wait, we need some level of hope. And hope is fantastic. Hope seems so glimmery. Hope seems so soft. I think hope is also part of a righteous determination. You all work incredibly hard on the things you build, on the things you write, and the things you code. I'd love for you to be just as determined as you are in your work with keeping the intellectual rights to your work consensually given. Open source means often that we give it to the world, but that gift, that giving, has to be optional. Thank you so much.
Yes, coming. Can you help me pass the mic, please? Thank you for the presentation. In the Common Voice project, you have people submitting samples and people verifying samples. I did some sample verification, and I heard a lot of samples pronounced by the same persons. If I understand correctly, to make a good AI, you need samples from varied sources. Have you ever had to worry about people with good intentions contributing too much, actually?
I love this question because we have, especially with some of our less commonly represented languages. We've got a small number of super contributors where we said, oh, wow, this is a little bit less. And all of the voice contributions are tagged by hash ID to identify the same speaker in the training sets. But we absolutely do know that we've got specific language communities where we've got individual speakers overrepresented, and both saying, cool, if you're doing this because you're a language nerd, if you're doing this because you're studying, that's fantastic. If you're doing this because you want to train models better and better, you can probably take the summer off. Are conversations we've absolutely had with people in the past. Yeah, but thank you, both for contributing and for the question. Oh, I should add, and this is not a question, but a plug. If anybody speaks a language that's not currently on Common Voice, please come. I used to be a teacher. I was like, please come and see me after class. I'd love, love, love to see about getting new stuff on. I'll ask you like 9 excited language questions. Just.
Can you? Oh, yes. On the other side. I'm at 5K steps. I'm looking forward for 10. Don't let me down, 10K. We're doing this.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I was wondering if there is a difference when you are trying to, for example, make sure that speech recognition is accurate for persons with a different accent, let's say because they come from maybe they're Swedish Iranians and they speak Swedish in a certain way, or if, let's say, a person has a hearing loss and then they might speak, like people have different types of hearing loss and therefore the accent, I believe, could be more varied, and I'm wondering if the approach would be different when you're trying to make it accurate for these different types of groups.
Oh, I could have just talked about speaker recognition this whole time. I'm so excited. So one thing we do is we allow people to include optional metadata, and that includes accent. And we've got a drop-down of the most common accents we've seen for each language, but that's a blank text field. There's a researcher named Kathy Reed down at ANU who's doing research about language identities and how people self-describe. So we have seen people saying, oh, I speak Swedish with an Iranian accent. We've seen people say, like, huge string of descriptors saying, oh, I'm in my 20s and I have a little bit of a Zoomer accent, but I used to live in Massachusetts. And I said, okay, it's very specific. I like that. But we do also have folks who are talking to us about saying, oh, I'm a bit hard of hearing, and this is the accent related to that. So really, really free text accent descriptors has resulted in some incredibly interesting metadata just in how people describe their own accents.
I do have a question myself now, building on that. Do we use that metadata in a way when I will go and approve or listen to someone to say, yes, this is correct, would I get any of the input to know, like, yes, we are targeting this with an accent, or we are targeting as clear as possible, so I would know.
Oh, so if you're validating Common Voice clips, we won't show the accent data associated with it. The general guidance is, if you can understand it, if they're saying what it's saying, I'm generally pretty happy to accept it.
That's great.
If I give consent but want some attribution, is something like that possible, or?
So with Common Voice, I'm so sorry that it's CC0, so there's no attribution associated with it. One thing that is super exciting is the platform is all open source as well. So we have seen language communities that said, hey, we're not really comfortable with the CC0 aspect. We're going to go ahead and fork the platform and create parallel language corpora plural of corpus. I always flub it. So there are parallel language corpora under different licenses, or even we've seen individual users create their own speech corpora based on what they wanted to do with their own voices. Yeah, so under Common Voice, no, I'm sorry. Under other collection projects, often yes.
It's a hard decision where to go, which side to go. Yeah, in front of the people. This is the open source.
Very kind. Thank you. So when you talk about the CC0, I also understood, or I remember that there was some initial concern because it could have been exploited by some other company. What I wonder is if exists, or if I've ever evaluated a license that say this is CC0 except from massive machine learning.
So, and this is a very, very controversial question at FOSDEM as well. I've heard other people say them like this. It's not how I would describe them. I've heard these licenses described as Franken licenses sometimes, or open source alike licenses. There are a ton of, so I think I want to separate out my personal opinions from the company opinion because I don't know what that is. As an individual speaking for myself, I think these are really exciting and interesting. They're not true open source, okay. But for people to be evolving licenses and to be evolving how we think about permissions as we evolve projects with data, even the ones that don't work are just such exciting experiments. Yeah, they don't always have to be something I'd use in my projects. They don't always have to be pure open source. But I love mess, and they're all very exciting mess. They're often, not all. So there's some really interesting ones out there. There's an ethical, I can't recall what it's called. There's a open source alike license based around you can only use this for ethical uses, which immediately splits into 90 different, what is ethics? What's a big company? What's a, and it's just a very, very exciting street to go down.
Thank you so much. And